I'm Lisa Stone. Thank you for joining us for this edition of Parenting Aces.
Thanks for joining us again this week for the Parenting Aces podcast. I'm so glad you tuned in again and hope you're enjoying all of our conversations here on Parenting Aces. If you haven't already, I encourage you to subscribe to the podcast. You can do that on iTunes or Stitcher or wherever you like to get your podcasts. And also, if you could leave us a rating and review on iTunes, that's really helpful in helping others find us because, hey, we just want to get our information out there and help as many parents as we can. On this week's episode, you're going to hear from Rubin Statham. He is a professional tennis player, but he's also a businessman, an entrepreneur, and he's got a very interesting story to tell, not only about his own junior and professional tennis development, not only in his life as a twin, but also now as an entrepreneur out there developing and promoting a product and a business. And so I think you're going to enjoy hearing from him. I want to encourage you all to check out the show notes this week because you will hear me reference a discount on Rubin's product in our interview. And so I want to make sure that you have access to that. It's pretty significant, and I want all of you to take advantage of it if you decide to take the leap and invest in your own personal stringing machine, which I highly encourage you to do. So without further ado, let me bring Rubin Statham on the line and enjoy this week's chat. So glad you could be with us for this week's episode of the Parenting Aces podcast with me and with Rubin Statham, who is the founder of the Pro Stringer and a current player on the tour. And Rubin, thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Lisa. Appreciate it.
So to jump in, I'd love for you to give my listeners a little bit of background on your life in tennis and how you came up as a junior and how you made the decision to go out on the Pro Tour.
Yeah, I have a twin brother in New Zealand, and we obviously love tennis, so we started playing quite a bit, and then just got into the junior tournaments, and then came to the States to play the Orange Bowl when we're kind of 13, 14 years old, and playing pretty good tennis, and one of the top juniors in New Zealand and Australia. So both of us decided to kind of pursue it and keep going with tennis. And then I picked up my first ATP points at 16. It's pretty young. And then Davis Cup. I started playing Davis Cup when I was just turned 17, which is also pretty young and pretty nerve-wracking to be out there playing for your country at 17. So that took me a while to adjust. Yeah. Then just decided to Pro Tour kind of full time from possibly around 18, and then 12 years later I'm here.
And was college tennis ever part of the equation for you or part of the conversation for you, or did you always know that you were going to go straight to the professional ranks?
Yeah, I think it was a strong consideration. I was probably 50-50 on it. I think because I started doing well pretty young, 16, playing Davis Cup, 17, I decided to pursue the Pro Tour straight away, but it was still a heavy consideration, and it's a tough decision to make. But I figured your body doesn't last as long as your brain, so might as well play while you're young, and then you can always go back to college afterwards. That was kind of my thinking at the time. So that's what I decided on.
Fantastic. And so you are currently playing here in the States, and you've been kind of making the rounds through the various events around the U.S. this summer. Can you talk a little bit about what it's like to play at the level where you are? You're not quite to that top-level ATP tournament yet. And I've posted several articles and done several interviews with players over the years who are outside the top 150 or so, and life is very different at that level on the tour.
Yeah, that's true. It's you've got the three different kind of levels, the future challenges and ATP events, and it's a bit of a process collecting points to make your way up to the top 100. But it's fun. It's a great life experience. You get to travel the world and meet a lot of different unique people, and I think it's a great thing to do while you're young, and obviously you get to play the sport that you love, and most people kind of want to be playing ATP, WTA events, and the Grand Slams and Davis Cup, and so that's the goal, and you just try to facilitate an environment that nurtures that and allows you to develop to your fullest and try to enjoy it at the same time.
Can you give our listeners a kind of a peek into what a typical day looks like for you during a tournament week?
During a tournament week? Well, everyone has their specific routines that they feel is best for themselves to perform optimally, and for me it would probably be I go to the gym in the morning. I'll do all my rehabilitation type of stuff, the rolling and stretching and trigger point stuff and activation stuff. Just do a little run, a bit more dynamic type of stretching, and just get the body ready for the match, and then head to the courts and do the pre-match warm-up and, discuss your crazy plans with your coach, and then play the match. You might have doubles in the afternoon. That's about it. I mean, it's a bit dependent on how you're feeling, how many matches you've played leading in, and there's a lot of different things that come into it. But that's generally how I prepare for a match.
Do you travel with a coach?
I have been the last year and a half, 2 years. I've traveled mostly with a coach. I have a couple of different guys that I work with, depending on whereabouts I'm playing in the world. But genuinely, I've got a coach with me. Yeah.
That's nice. I know not all players are in that same situation, and like you said, maybe part of the year you'll travel with a coach and part of the year you're kind of on your own out there. It's got to be a very different feeling when you're on your own, having to make travel plans and figure out meals and lodging and all of that. Just wondering if you can speak to that a little bit.
Yeah, it's a bit of a crazy lifestyle, really. You've got maybe 5 or 6 pro tournaments around the world that you can choose from, but it depends what tournaments you get into. So literally last minute you can find out you get into a tournament in Japan instead of Germany, and you just pack your bags and go straight away. So it's pretty hectic and last minute. But you try to travel with a coach or like a good friend that's also playing, and then it's more enjoyable. But it's all pretty last minute, and it can be pretty hectic out there, but it's good fun.
That's great. I'm glad to hear you're having a good time. That's important.
Yeah.
So a couple years ago, you noticed something going on out on the tour in terms of stringing and keeping your rackets well strung and making it affordable. I want you to share with the Parenting Aces group here how you came up with the idea of creating a portable stringer, and what were the types of things that you wanted to include in your product to make sure that it stood out in the marketplace, and how do you find the time to market the Pro Stringer while training and competing? A lot of questions all rolled into one there, sorry.
Yeah, that's a bunch of them.
Just tackle the ones you want to tackle.
Surprised you can fit that all into one sentence. It's great. No, it started when I was about 17. I have a twin brother, and he was playing on tour, and we spent just over $17,000 that first year on our restringing. So we were playing in Europe. Wow. We were playing on clay. I also feel when we were juniors, we're probably breaking more strings than as pros, because when you're a professional, you're more playing matches. You're playing a lot of tournaments and matches, where juniors, you're kind of training a lot. You're on court kind of 3, 4, 5 hours a day training, developing your game, so you're breaking a lot more strings. Anyway, we spent just over $17,000 that first year that we played pro tennis, and we're in Europe on the clay, just going through a lot of strings. And then the second year, we traveled with one of those drop weight, so-called portable machines. It was still kind of 50 pounds, around 25 kgs, and we had to split it into both of our travel bags, pay for the overweight baggage, and it wasn't a great machine, being a drop weight machine, so it was just tricky. And so we did that for our second year on tour. It saved a lot of money. It was quite good, but it was very difficult to transport the machine around, and then we had to pay for the overweight charges and da-da-da. And I had a few ideas, a few crazy ideas when I was young, and I just didn't really know how to take the first step. But when that second year, I was in Korea, and I had this, it was mainly only Korean players in that tournament, and there was a distinct man that was clapping for me the whole time, and I did pretty well that week. I made the final, but he was there every day clapping. And the second week I played in Korea, it was about 3 hours away, and same guy was there clapping, and it's pretty much the only guy clapping for me, so I paid attention. Literally.
Lest we underestimate our power as fans, right? We do have power as fans.
I just need one. And so that second week, I thought, well, he's travelled to maybe come watch me play. The second week, so bought a couple of coffees, went and had a chat to the guy, and his English wasn't that great, but we kind of spoke a bit of broken English together, and my brother he was stringing a racket in the players' lounge with this big drop weight portable thing, and he asked, like, what's the deal there? And I kind of tried to explain to him why we have this machine, and turns out he's an electronic engineer, and he's pretty switched on with the whole, with technology and tennis. Obviously a crazy tennis fan if he drove 3 hours to watch me play. So then, he just couldn't believe that was the best option. And so, we had a couple of dinners that week and discussed things. I threw a few plans that I'd come up with, and we started to work together, and it's probably just over 2 years of failed attempts before the first prototype of the machine came out, and just initially it was my intention was just to have a machine for my brother and myself to have on the road. And the first machine was okay. It did the job. It wasn't great. And then we just improved it over the years. And then a lot of our friends on tour that were in exactly the same situation, they wanted it. So I'd make up machines specially for them, and just at cost price, and then their friends wanted it, and it just went from there. And kind of got to the point where I was like, I guess I've got to make a business out of this. And and so started a website just to make purchases more automated, and just kind of took off, and took me by surprise. And then we improved the machine a lot, and just made it commercially available for the public, and that's how it all started.
So you said that you were spending about $17,000 US a year on stringing. Can you contrast that to what your prize winnings were during that period, just so my listeners have an understanding of how significant that $17,000 really was?
Yeah, probably on tour, from playing tournament prize money, you're probably only making, or at that, I was about 600 in the world probably at that age. Probably only making around 30 grand a year, I'd say 35. But
so this was about half of your take was going to cover your stringing expense.
Yeah, exactly. So they charge between $15 to $30 a racket to string at pro tournaments. If you're breaking 1 or 2 strings a day, which we were doing times two people, that's quite a bit. It does add up over the year and over your career, if you're looking to play 10, 15 years. So.
Sure. So you're kind of straddling that line right now. Part of you, well, the majority of you, I guess, is a professional tennis player, but there's still a piece of you who has turned into an entrepreneur and businessman. How does that feel, and how does that fit into where you thought you'd be right now?
Yeah, it's been interesting. As I said, I didn't plan on all this. I thought I'd just play tennis and keep life simple. But the first couple of years were, or probably a year and a half, was kind of slow. And then the last 3 years, it's kicked off a lot, kind of to the point where I'm writing emails on my phone and taking calls all the way up to walking onto the tennis court to play a match. So it's pretty full time now, and I have a team of 5 guys behind me helping out in the certain aspects of the business, which helps a lot. But yeah, it's pretty full on to be able to focus on professional tennis and playing Davis Cup, yet running a business too. But I love it, and it's something purposeful. It provides a product that helps a lot of tennis players around the world, and they can travel with a stringing machine now and do things that they normally couldn't do. We've got a lot of teams, high schools that have been able to save a lot of money and in their budget, which allows them to do other things within their budget that they haven't before. It's great fun, and probably the only awkward thing is that I play a lot of guys that use the machine. at least 1 or 2 guys every week I play against in tournaments using the machine, so that gets a little bit awkward. But actually, I played a guy a couple of weeks ago that was a customer, and we came up to the net to do the coin toss, and he asked me if he could get some more clamps for the machine at the coin toss, and the umpire was a little bit confused there. So I thought, I kind of said that we should go to battle, and then afterwards we'll talk about it.
That's pretty funny. One of the things that I think is so cool on your website, which it's pro-stringer.com, and that'll be in the show notes for my listeners. But one of the things I love about your site is you have a little calculator on there where people can go on and figure out exactly what they're spending on stringing right now and compare that to what they would spend if they invested in your Pro Stringer. And I mean, the numbers do not lie, and it's a pretty eye-opening thing to see. We may not think about it when it's just, it's $15 here or $20 there, but over the course of the year, like you said, it adds up very quickly, and the cost of the stringer is so minuscule in the scheme of things, especially for families with junior players, and if you have multiple players, even more so. But over the course of their junior development years, my gosh, you can save a fortune.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think a lot of people don't quite realize how much they're spending a year on stringing expenses. As you say, it's even more so if you have more than one kid. We just threw into the website that online calculator just so you can quickly throw in how much it costs to string a racket times how many times you're breaking strings a week, and just get a rough idea of how much you are actually spending a year. So, I thought that would be helpful, and I think it has been also for colleges. They've been able to, we have a college calculator there that they can calculate within, the 10, 15 players they have in the team, how much they are actually spending a year on stringing, and it's quite a lot. So, that's been helpful, and I think personally, growing up myself, just learning how to string is an invaluable tool. You kind of have to do it, and if you're looking to play for years to come, like myself and my twin brother were, then it's really a no-brainer. You need to know how to string rackets, and if you're going to play tennis for 15 years, let's say, if you don't know how to string rackets, it's looking at more than $100,000 type of stuff. So it also teaches you accountability for your tools and equipment. Just to have you're in control of that, and it creates a little bit of discipline, and saves a lot of money, and also just consistency of performance. When you travel, you get different people stringing the rackets, and they use different techniques, and they're using different machines every week. So you're getting different results with the tension in your racket, and that at a high level that does affect performance. So just being able to have your specific customized tension wherever you play, wherever you travel to is key, and just creating that discipline and with the kids is important.
Sure. And, I've talked about many times on this podcast the fact that the margins in the higher levels of tennis are so small between the top players and the next tier down and the next tier down and the next tier down. I mean, the margins are just minuscule. And so being able to control things like making sure that your string tension is consistent week in and week out could be the difference between winning and losing.
Yeah. I mean, I can say myself, if you look on the stats of all of my matches over the last 14 years on tour, I'd say 95% of them are won and lost within 5 to 7 points, sometimes 1 or 2 points. So within, let's say a 2-hour match, it's just a couple of points, just that decides whether you win or lose. So, it's like that at every level of the game, whether it be juniors, college tennis, pro tennis. If you're playing at that level, it's always just a couple of points. So, the little things make a difference. How you prepare for matches, and your equipment is a big part of that. Preparing your equipment, making sure everything's organized and ready, making sure your racket's at that perfect tension for that suits the conditions that you're playing in that week. Like I was in Colombia a couple of weeks ago. I was playing in altitude clay there, so different conditions than the US hard courts. So it's a little bit faster there with the altitude. So I'd bring my tension up 2 pounds to adjust to that, and then the ball would sit a little bit more, would feel a lot better, just bring the tension up 2 pounds. Whereas I've come back here and playing in Lexington this week, I'll drop it 2 pounds because the courts are playing a little bit slower through the air. It's all these little things that you learn over time. It's all part of kind of the journey of tennis, is learning all these little things that equate to success. And one of those elements is your equipment. So for the kids slowly learning what's best for them and what suits them and what equates to winning for them is a big part of the game.
Sure. And, one thing I want to point out, too, is when you play college tennis, the school may provide the actual string, but the players are still responsible for having their rackets strung as needed. And so if you're the guy or girl that knows how to string and has a stringer, maybe a pro stringer, then it's a great income source for you, to be able to string the rackets for your teammates and make a little money on the side. It's a great way to have some extra spending money.
Yeah, exactly. Well, this is actually a funny story. I remember when we first brought out the machine, my brother obviously had a machine, a pro stringer, and I won a $25,000 pro event in Australia, in Queensland. And he ended up making more money stringing rackets that week than I did winning the singles title.
Oh my gosh!
Because there was a women's and men's tournament that week. So you've got 32 guys in the main draw, 32 girls in the main draw, and then you've got 64 in each of the qualifying draws. So you've got 200 plus players there, and they all need their rackets restrung, and there was only one stringer, and he couldn't deal with the load of the rackets. So Oliver did most of them, and he actually made more money stringing than I did winning the tournament. So that was a example of how it can also be beneficial if you want to go that route. But it's just handy it's a handy tool to have in a few different cases, whether it be junior tennis, college tennis, or pro tennis.
Well, so let's switch gears for a second, and I'm going to have you do a sales pitch for the Pro Stringer in comparison to other portable stringers that are out there. So maybe you can talk a little bit about the features that it has, other than you already talked about the lightweight aspect of it, but some of the other features that it has that set it apart from the competition.
Yeah, well, mainly the size is a big thing. It's about a tenth the size of any other machine. So it's about 4 pounds. The machine can literally fit on the palm of your hand. You can travel with other machines if you kind of split it up like I used to do into a couple of bags and But then, you're not allowed, the baggage allowance these days isn't a lot, so you're going to be charged overweight baggage. And but with ProString, you can just take it on the plane. It comes in a little carry case, and you just take out the pliers and the cutters, and then you can take the whole thing on the plane, which is good. And mainly it's the size and portability. You can fit it in a tiny little drawer, and also it's electronic, whereas all the other portable machines are kind of drop weight machines. And so with the electronic constant pull tensioning, you have more consistent and accurate results. It's at the end of the day, it's mainly the size and the portability and being able to travel with it wherever you go. Or even a lot of businessmen have enjoyed having it. They can take it to work and string in their lunch break if they want. We've got some crazy pictures out there of customers, stringing in bathrooms and buses and on trains, just anywhere. So it's been pretty cool getting feedback of crazy different places that they've decided to string rackets. So it just gives you a little bit more freedom compared to the other machines. You can't do that. So that was kind of the intention at the start, to have something for myself and my brother that would allow you to do that, to string wherever you want and make life a little bit easier.
Yeah, that's great. And can you talk a little bit about what it comes with?
The package comes with everything you could possibly need to string a racket, all the tools, and so the machine, the mounting system that you put the racket on top of, the clamps, the power cord that goes into the wall. We've even included the universal power adapter, so wherever you travel in the world, you can plug it into any wall socket. It comes with everything possible you could need to string a racket.
That's fantastic. And you guys have generously offered a discount to the Parenting Aces community, so I want to make sure that my listeners know about that. And it's a $100 discount off the purchase price, which is fantastic. And the promo code for that will be in the show notes, so you'll have to check that out. Check out the show notes either on parentingaces.com or on iTunes or wherever you listen to podcasts. If you read through the notes, you'll see that promo code, and you'll be able to get $100 off your Pro Stringer. And the price is really very reasonable, Rubin.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people tell me. It's a reasonable price. It's so I think with the discount we've included for you guys, it's $690 US. Any junior that's playing a reasonable amount of tennis that will pay itself off in a couple of months easily, and then you're saving money from there on out. So it's good. It's a great tool to use, and it's kind of a no-brainer if your kids are looking to play tennis for years to come.
What's the best way for a young junior to learn how to string?
Well, there's, ideally, if you have a friend that can kind of put you through it and show you how to string a racket in real life, that's optimal. But there's a lot of instructional videos out there online. We actually have 2 YouTube channels that videos that go through all the different elements of stringing a racket. It takes a little bit to learn how to string a racket. You'd probably have to focus a little bit, maybe a week, to kind of really get the hang of things. And then when you string your first couple of rackets, it takes a bit of time to string the racket, and it is a little bit of an investment in your time, just for, I'd say, a week to learn how to string. But then as you learn it, it becomes really easy. I can sit down and string a racket in 13 minutes, and it becomes very easy. But there is that initial investment in time just to figure out how to string a racket, and there's a lot of YouTube instructional videos out there, and our 2 channels that you can see them on our website under the features page. There's written instructions on how to string, and also links to the YouTube channels just to help customers learn. And but like anything, once you get the hang of it, it becomes pretty simple.
Sure. And how old do you think a player should be before they start stringing their own rackets? Is there an age?
Yeah, I was 14 when I started. I think my brother was actually 13 when he started. And yeah, I think 14, 15 is a good age to learn. And of course, when you're younger, you pick stuff a little bit quicker too. So I think 14, 15 is a good age. And you're playing a lot of, if you're serious about tennis, you're playing a lot of tennis then, and it's kind of a good age. You could be, if you're looking to play college tennis afterwards, you're looking at a good 10 years from that age. So I think 14, 15 is a good age to start. Most of my friends that kind of developed into professional tennis players, they started around that age also.
It does take, a little bit of physical strength to string, and certainly some coordination, and kind of need the arm length too, I would guess, that you might not have at 8 or 9 to be able to actually pull the string through.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I haven't really tested out 8 or 9-year-old stringing on the machine. That's a good question. I might.
Well, there you go.
Who knows?
You can get one of the ball kids this week.
Sorry?
Yeah, get one of the ball kids at the tournament this week to come do a little test for you. You could video it. Yeah. I think that'd be cool.
Yeah.
So what else do you want us to know? Pro Stringer, we want to make sure that everybody has the website. It's pro-stringer.com, so be sure to check that out and check the show notes for the Parenting Aces discount. What else do you want the Parenting Aces world to know about you and about your product?
I think we've covered pretty much everything there.
I just want to keep you talking because I love your accent, so,
Well, there's only about 3 million New Zealanders in the world, so I guess you wouldn't have too many New Zealanders on the show.
Right.
But yeah, we can talk about other sports if you just want to keep me talking.
What's next on your schedule? What's next on your competition schedule?
So I need to see. I'll be borderline to make the cut for US Open this year. So I need to see if I get into that. If I don't, I'm playing. I'll play qualifying in an ATP event in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. But that's in a couple of weeks. Next week, I'm in Lexington playing this week. Next week, I go down to Bucaramanga in Colombia, South America. There's a tournament on altitude clay there, so I'll pop down there and, as I said, put my tension up a couple of pounds so I can play in the altitude, and then come back to the States and get ready for either Winston-Salem ATP or US Open. So that's kind of the plan at the moment. But yeah, as I mentioned before, with pro tennis, it's last minute stuff. So you can find out, a day or two before that you make the cut for US Open if you're borderline like I am, and away you go. So that's the plan at the moment. And then probably in about a month's time, I'll go and play in Asia, and there's a swing of 50 and 75K events out there in Thailand, China, and Korea. so I'll head out there and play those tournaments. And I always try to play in Korea as much as I can, because that's where our warehouse is, just outside of Seoul. So I need to visit my team out there and make sure they're still happy with me and I'm happy with them. So no, it's been good. We've had the same team for nearly 9 years now. I've worked with the same engineering and manufacturing team in Korea, and so yeah, I just visit them as much as I can, and they all like going on. They love hiking in Korea, so we do most of our business chats up mountains, which is quite fun.
Oh wow, that's cool. Your workout for the day and your business meeting.
Yeah, well, I think it's their opportunity to do something physical, but I'm normally exhausted from playing tennis matches, so I kind of want to sit in the room. But no, it's something a bit different, and no, we have a great team, and yeah, we've worked together, same team for 9 years, and yeah, it's just important to keep that keep the relationships going, and make sure we keep developing and keep progressing the product so the customer gets the best possible product over the years. And yeah, we've done that a lot the last 4 or 5 years. We're always chipping away at it, always making it better. It's the same as developing a young junior into a professional player. It's a work in progress always. It's just chipping away, always finding ways to be a better tennis player or creating a better product. It's kind of a similar mindset. So, yeah, I think I've used my mindset that I've had towards the development of my tennis career with developing this product. And, yeah, I've just, you do have a lot of downtime playing pro tennis. You play your matches, and you have possibly 6, 7, 8 hours a day where, you have downtime, and I chose to kind of stimulate my mind in a different way rather than watching TV or playing video games. And so I focused that time on developing this machine, and then and nowadays, facilitating what customers need. So yeah, no, it's been an interesting journey, and I hope I've spoken enough words to keep the Kiwi accent going for you.
Well, one thing you touched on that I do, if you have a few more minutes, I'd love to have you expand on a little bit, is the idea of the downtime that you have out on the Pro Tour. Because when we watch, people like Roger Federer, Serena Williams, they're constantly making appearances and fulfilling sponsor obligations and media obligations. But when you're outside the top 100, those types of obligations don't really exist. And I think that's an interesting concept that you brought up, is that whole notion of, all right, I played my match, I did my gym work for the day, I did my recovery work for the day. Now what? I'm in a country where I don't really know anybody, and how do I spend my time? And how to keep yourself mentally sharp when you do have that kind of downtime. I think it's an interesting conundrum.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, you do, when you watch players, Federer, whoever it is, on TV, you see the final product. And some of us might think that it just comes naturally, or they're talented, or whatever it is. But the reality is that it is what they've done, not even necessarily on court during their training, but it's more of a holistic approach, really, is what they do with their whole day, all the little things that equate to that final product that you see on TV. So yeah, it's the physical training, the stretching, the yoga, the mental training, the mindfulness, whatever they need to do all these tiny little things that equate to what you see on TV. So the advice I give to, the top juniors in New Zealand that I kind of mentor is everyone kind of trains 3 hours a day on court. It's what they're doing in between. Are they sitting there on the couch just watching TV, playing video games for, another 5 hours a day, while someone out in Germany's, going through, watching tennis on TV, going through match analysis, watching videos of their own matches, going through swing techniques. It's all these tiny little things that equate to big success over time. So that's the advice I give. What are you doing off court when no one's watching? And that's the main question that kind of that the guys that you see on TV, they're the ones that have mastered that. And most people kind of don't realize what they've done to get to that point. So yeah, it is all the little things. Even stringing your rackets, having that right tension in your racket, and having all your rackets strung properly, having the grips on, having them customized to the right swing weight. All these little things make a big difference over time.
So what's next for you? Are there other products in the works?
Yeah, there is. We've got a few things going. When I do something, I like to do it properly. So just at the moment, I'm going to finish out my last year of professional tennis next year. And so at the end of next year, I'll stop, and then I'll kind of put more focus into Pro Stringer and launch a few different products that we've been working on the last 4 or 5 years. But yeah, up until then, we've got a great product at the moment, the Pro Stringer Platinum, and that's been developed for the last 5 years. We've really chipped away at that, and it's the best within that machine. It's the best it could possibly be. So we've kind of perfected that machine and just focusing on that right now. But we have worked on different things that we would launch at the end of next year.
Well, cool. You'll have to come back on the podcast when those launch and let us know about what's going on. I'm curious how you came to the decision that one more year on the Pro Tour.
Well, I started pretty young, as I said. I was 16 when I got my first points, 17 Davis Cup. So I've played for about 14 years on tour. Been to about every country in the world, apart from a few African countries. So yeah, I've seen a lot, done a lot, experienced a lot of tennis. I've got a few records in Davis Cup, most ties played in history, most matches won in history. I've run its course a little bit, so no, I've loved every second of it, and had an experience that most people are very lucky to experience. So yeah, I just decided that at the end of next year, it's a good time for me to kind of move on to different journeys in life, and yeah, that's kind of it's run its course, and I'm kind of happy with that.
And is your brother still out playing too?
No, he stopped about 3 years ago. He stopped playing pro tennis, and he is in New Zealand. He's doing commercial drones, so he's one-upped on me. Yeah, he's got, you can develop world-first string machines, but I'm going to do commercial drones. So I said, too good, Oliver. That's very good. But yeah, he's doing commercial drones back in New Zealand, and yeah, he's enjoying it. He's married with a kid now, so he's living a pretty stable life while I'm running around like a headless chicken trying to figure out what country I'm playing in.
Well, it's two very different lives for two twin brothers, but both sound very exciting and rewarding. So congratulations to both of you. And it's great chatting with you finally. You and I have been exchanging emails and text messages for, it seems like, months now. And so I'm glad we finally got a chance to do the podcast together. And I got to learn a little bit more about what your life looks like out there on the Pro Tour and promoting your business and Pro Stringer Platinum. And so thank you for taking time out. And thank you to the tournament organizers in Lexington for giving you a day off.
Yeah, I needed that. After my first round singles, I felt like I needed a wheelchair. So it's nice to have a day off today and back at it tomorrow.
Well, good luck, and I'll keep an eye on you, and best of luck moving forward. Thanks for joining us on the Parenting Aces podcast.
Thanks a lot, Lisa. Enjoy your day.
Thanks so much for tuning in again. Hope you enjoyed this week's Parenting Aces podcast with professional player Rubin Statham. I sure enjoyed chatting with him. He is just a really delightful young man, and I wish him all the best as he finishes out his time on the Pro Tour. And I want to encourage all of you, if you haven't already, to subscribe to the Parenting Aces podcast on iTunes or wherever you like to listen, and also to leave us a review and a rating on iTunes. We really do appreciate that. Be sure to check out the show notes for links to everything referenced in this week's chat, including the promo code if you want to go ahead and invest in a Pro Stringer, which I highly encourage you to do. Have a great week, everybody, and we'll catch you next time on Parenting Aces.
I'm Lisa Stone, and you've been listening to the Parenting Aces podcast. For tennis parents, by a tennis parent. If you like what you've heard, please subscribe to us and write a review on iTunes. For more information on navigating the junior and college tennis journey, visit us online at parentingaces.com. As always, a huge thank you to our sponsor, tennisballs.com.